Don Barrett, attorney from Barrett Law Firm in Lexington, Mississippi. Good morning, Don. How are you, sir? Good to have you, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Paul. How are you this morning? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I can see you, and we are ready to rock and roll, man. Give me an update on this and what's been happening since the last time we talked with you as far as the Express Grain is concerned.
Yeah, I can. The last time we talked, Paul, all we knew was, what was obvious. That it was obvious to us that this big bank knew that Express Grain was bankrupt. They knew that Express Grain couldn't make it, and they had misrepresented that fact to the state of Mississippi Agricultural Commissioner, who's responsible for giving them their license. That kept the license from being jerked. Would have avoided all the trouble. That was back in December of 2020. It appeared, from all appearances, it was like it was a gigantic trap that they had set for these farmers. And what's turned out is, and we really haven't had our turn at bat yet, but from documents that we've seen that are filtering out, they knew exactly what was going on as late as the first part of July of 2021. This is again, no grain had been put into Express Grain Terminal where the bank could get its hands on it, and they were talking about. We have documents. They were talking about the terrible financial shape of Express Grain, and they mentioned in that the bins are empty now, but we know in September they'll be full. Now, why would they mention that if that wasn't part of their program, part of their plan to seize this grain that belonged to somebody else? We think this is going to turn out to be a Bernie Madoff type scam. It's enormous in its implications, enormous in the amount of damage it's done to these communities in the Delta and all over North Mississippi, and we think that bank's going to have to pay for it. The law provides a remedy.
Well, the bank would have enough financial assets, but that's about the only people left in this scenario, isn't it? And nobody else has any financial assets to recoup.
Well, that's primarily correct, but the fact is, it's a happy coincidence, I suppose, if you want to use the expression "happy" in this situation. Yeah. But they were the ones that did it. The bad actors were the ones that have money to pay for their. And I think it's a crime. I think, in my opinion, some people at Express Grain are going to go to prison, and maybe some people at the bank ought to go to prison too, Paul. But we've not had our turn at bat yet. We've not had the opportunity to take the depositions, to see all their documents, to put them under oath. And a lot of times these people that work for these big corporations, they're willing to lie on the telephone, or they're willing to lie, to the farmer. But when they get under oath, under penalty of perjury, a lot of times they won't go to jail for their boss corporation. They'll tell the truth. So we're looking forward
Don, what's
to that.
what's the timetable on this, as far as you having your chance to get into that?
It's impossible to say what the timetable is. We hope it would be soon. We assume that UMB Bank in Kansas City knows the trouble it's in. We assume that they've got good lawyers. We know they have good lawyers, and we assume that they want to get out of trouble. So it really depends on them. If we have to try this case, it could go on a couple of years, and that's a tragedy. For these farmers, it's going to mean some of them themselves will take bankruptcy. Others, they have banks that are working with them, and and keeping them afloat by the hardest. But it's going to be a burden, and we're going to move it as fast as we can. But a lot of it depends on the UMB Bank and how whether they decide they want to fight this thing, whether they want to come clean.
It's amazing because it's one of those things you talk about, the perfect storm. Not only this for the farmers in the Delta area who were ensnared with this one, but man, you start looking at what is going on as far as the Ukraine and Russia deal and fertilizer, manure, and other things out there. And it's the cost and gas, of course, diesel. How in the world can they survive? Yeah,
it's a perfect storm. Well, I mean, the one way they can survive is that the prices of grain have shot through the roof, so they would get a good price for their grain. The grain that they had that was worth $11 or $12 a bushel when at the time they delivered it is now worth $16.50. So if they are able to make a crop, if they can get credit, or if they can somehow come up with the money to make another crop, and if the Lord blesses them, they can pull out of this thing.
Yeah,
there's hope, and it's always, farming is a tough business, and you bet everything every year almost, and the odds have the price of poker's gone up now for these farmers, but they're in there. From everything I can tell, they're not quitting. They're in there. They're working hard. They're trying to get their fields ready to plant again. They're trying to get credit so that they can make another crop, and we've got their back. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I understand how tough it is being a farm boy. One of the memories that shot through my mind when you were saying that is I remember my father looking at the new cotton coming up and saying something like, that's one of the best I've ever seen. And then a week later, a hailstorm moves through. And this was the days before a lot of farmers had insurance. So the stress and the agony is what many people don't understand. Certainly small farmers too. But I guess if there is some default, that would probably play into the punitive damages if they are awarded here. Would that be true?
That's right. If the bank takes this case all the way through, they run a huge risk of punitive damages. I mean, this is not just a business transaction that didn't work out. This is fraud. Mm-hmm. This is a hatched plan to trick the farmers out of their crops that they work so hard to protect, to nurture, to grow, and working 15, 20-hour days, as you know, and then to have that crop stolen from them is breathtaking. And if we prove what we think we can prove, there definitely should be punitive damages.
If the trial does happen,
by this litigation.
Yeah, if the trial does happen, where would the location? Where would the venue be?
That's a great question. The venue will be in Jackson for the federal lawsuit that we filed. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that some of our farmers are demanding that their case be filed in their own home county in state court, and so we're looking into that. And if we think that can work for some of these farmers, we're going to do it. And if that happens,
good.
Then UMB is going to have county courthouses all over North Mississippi that they're going to be visiting.
Don, I want to thank you so very much. Keep us abreast in this. If you have something that you want to let us know, if something breaks, just get on the phone, give us a call. We'll appreciate it, sir. And thank you for taking the time, sir.
And thank you, Paul, for being the voice of the Mississippi farmers and the average Mississippi